Quickly, I watch what happened in Abuja yesterday at the unveiling of Kashim Shettima as the vice presidential candidate of the APC. Right after that, he visited the office of the president to present himself in company of the man who is said presented him, canvassed for him, the man who took over from him in Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum. Buhari endorsed his party Muslim ticket confident of 2023. Shettima assures he won't serve Islam, Hausa, Fulani, Kanuri interests as the VP. Don't stoke anarchy with planned solidarity protest. Federal government wants NLC. As Marburg virus, NCDC activates response team, insists Nigeria at moderate risk. Inflation may hit 20% by December, experts warn. The unveiling of NNPC akin to rebranding graft. CNPP tells President Muhammadu Buhari. And Southern Kaduna Christian leaders protest against kidnap and killing of protest nationwide darkness as Nigeria's greed collapses 7th time in 2022. Shettima still in the news. Banner headline of the Nigerian Tribune: Can the sons, bishops who attended Shettima's unveiling, I carry burden of trust, declares Shettima. El-Rufai, Uzodinma, Yade and Umahi absent. Don't sabotage this ticket, Abdullahi Kashan's power blocks in the APC. Protesters storm APC Secretariat. Shettima, Zulum meet Buhari in Asarok. Adeleke gets certificate of return. Appeal court affirms him as PDP's candidate. All right, still Shettima again. Banner headline, Nation newspaper. My director can put up that video anytime. Yesterday at the unveiling of Shettima, I tried as much as possible not to participate in the conversation going on social media on the mischief or by some people. Tinubu and Shettima have made a hard and best choice. APC presidential candidate says 2023 poll a must win. I won't be vice president to Muslims. Let's join hands with candidates for victory, says party chair, and Buhari sure of victory. This chapter in our nation's history demands a bold yet pragmatic approach. In selecting Senator Shettima, I have committed myself to this path. I have made a hard choice, and because I believe it is the best choice. Kiari, NDLEA tenders $61,400 alleged bribe cash in court. Witnesses testifies against Etete in $1.3 billion Malabu oil proceeds suit. Akeredolu orders sack of civil servants on double salaries. Or should governor-elect deputy get certificate? And for today, the only different headline on the front page of the paper is on the Punch newspaper, where ASU strike takes the top story. NLC rejects Buhari's 2-week ultimatum, insists on nationwide protest. NLC faults the 2-week timeline, says 3 days enough to meet demand. Planned protest illegal. Nigeria Labour Congress partisan says government. ASU says no going back on protest. Aviation workers plan strike. Reps plan tax crimes commission headed by the IG. Bakers halt bread production today over rising costs. Zenith Bank, others move to boost non-oil exports. EFCC ICPC falls proposed ACJA amendment. CBN panel worries over Nigeria's debt repayment capacity. As Shettima forces angry as Tinubu defense is running mate. Protesters, Lagos land grabbers burn houses and injure residents. Osun woman wanted for allegedly burning husband over infidelity. Reps probe lopsided TCN recruitment. Summon MD and HOS. Adeleke wins appeal, gets certificate of return. 4 men gang rape Lagos schoolgirl for 5 days. How Ebubiagu killed my 7 brothers in my presence. A survivor is talking right there. All right, those are the stories on the front page of the Punch and all the papers this morning. Let's take a look at what happened in Abuja yesterday with Kashim Shettima being unveiled as the vice presidential candidate of the APC. We'll be back after.
done to him. And he has given us his word that he will campaign vigorously for the ticket for us to cruise home to victory in 2023 presidential elections.
You have been formally unveiled today by the presidential candidate. What assurance can you give the Christian community that are agitated by your emergence as the vice presidential candidate?
We are essentially one people with a common destiny. A new leader is going to emerge in the United Kingdom today. Of the 4 top leading candidates, Rishi Sunak is probably a Hindu from Gujarati in India. Kemi Badembok is of Nigerian descent. Nobody is talking about the ethnicity or the religion of the candidate, but rather...
As national chairman of our great party, APC, it is both my honor and duty to unveil this distinguished son of our dear country and formally present him to this august body and through it the Nigerian public. The APC vice presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential election is distinguished Senator Kashim Shettima. Will note that in choosing Shettima as his running mate, Njagaba of Nigeria, who's also to walk along the path that other great sons of this country have done. Asiwaju Bola Tinubu is a man who has also thrown his arm around every tribe in Nigeria. He has offered his shoulders for those in pain to lean on. He has used his wealth to bring succor to the needy. He can be trusted to run an inclusive government in which character, competence, and vision matter to his administration. Our party has produced a candidate who is acceptable by all zones in our country. He enjoys the trust of every strata in our national social economic structure.
Poverty. Educate our children. Bring up our grandchildren without thinking of religious division nor ethnic differences. We are one. Our passport is one. Greenback is one. One nation, one destiny. We are a happy country. I thank all the members of the APC and supporters for the outpouring of support since the result of my nomination.
Today, we are being presented formally with Senator Kashim Shettima as his nominee for the vice presidential, and I'm sure it will have been a very difficult choice for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, because no one who has interacted with Kashim Shettima will be left in any doubt about his brilliance, about his capacity, about his sense of history and sensitivity to the multifaceted nature of Nigeria. And I can imagine how it would have been different than Kashim Shettima. I have no doubt that Asiwaju has found an able, competent, confident, patriotic compatriot who will support him both in the campaign and by God's grace in moving Nigeria forward and giving all Nigerians a sense of inclusion.
Our country is going through a very difficult phase. His Excellency, our presidential standard bearer, is someone that I know very well. And he does not like yes people around him. Kashim Shettima is not going to be a yes man. Kashim Shettima is going to offer honest, sincere, independently verifiable advice that will be to the betterment of our country.
I'm grateful for this opportunity to be a part of this history, to deliver Nigeria to a future defined by fast evolving technologies that will propel us towards guaranteed national security, economic boom, youth engagement, mass employment, high quality education, and of course, uncompromising national cohesion. I want to assure our team and supporters that in the coming days, we'll be rolling out our plans for a greater Nigeria and pointing towards the bright future that we envisage, and away from the destination of those with nothing but mudslinging to market as the reason they deserve to be elected. Such horrors tragedies shouldn't be the ideals of a nation yearning for an experienced and documented visionary like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We work with commitment for all Nigerians, especially the youth, who represent the overwhelming majority of our population today. They represent our future, they represent our present. We give a firm assurance that no discrimination of any form will arise from this patriotic alliance for the deepening of Nigeria's democracy.
Welcome back to the Bumper Breakfast. We're back here, and I have joining the table this morning Mr. Ayo Onigbogi, an entrepreneur and a public affairs analyst, back here. He said for the first time in the last 6 months. Good to have you back.
Yes, it's good. It's been here this morning.
Good morning. All right, we also have Mr. Aki Fatuke. For those who know Mr. Aki Fatuke, you know he's a regular on the Thursday show, and elder statesman, public affairs analyst, and a chartered accountant by profession. Good morning. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Tony Singh. Ayo, you're welcome back.
Where is your cassock anyway?
My cassock.
You don't have one?
The one that my cassock is hidden. Should I show it?
Oh, okay. You wore it under.
And there's another Igbale. Yeah.
Underneath too.
Yes. Cassock Igbale.
Oh, okay. I get it.
What's my name?
Oh, your name is Bishop Fatunke.
Fatunke.
That's why I didn't put the other Oluwo. You know, I know it's Fatunke.
At my back is Kanoku.
Oh, you have Kanoku.
Kanoku.
Oh, so if I need to send you to Abuja now to go and see President Muhammadu Buhari, all we need to do is just, and you're gone.
He says hi to you.
Oh, I was just being funny this morning. It's exciting because yesterday across Nigeria, social media went agog with the news of those who suddenly became bishops and wanted to show their solidarity for Shettima's unveiling, and all trooped. In fact, some of them were caught on camera by passers-by undressing and wearing the uniform, because when I say uniform, for that outing. But the brilliance of the two men involved in the event, the biggest event, of the APC yesterday, the brilliance of the two men involved tells me that was not something that could have come from their stables. But then you now see how political handlers get to do some of these things. I think they thought or they think they do it in support. But was that really supportive in any way? Because then today all the papers Khan disowns this, and then the other one says I think only the Nigerian Tribune didn't even mention the bishop's thing. But then you have Candace's own bishops who graced Shetima's unveiling. I mean, all the social media news yesterday, Daily Post here, this one, everybody was talking about fake bishops attended, or if you belong to any political group, everybody was talking about how these political bishops, graced that occasion. In all of the videos, our correspondent was there, and this is the video from Abuja. Our correspondent didn't show these bishops, inside of that premises or shaking hands with the vice presidential candidate or even the presidential candidate himself. But then somebody somewhere thought it necessary to have
the presence,
to have these characters grace that occasion. Good idea, bad idea, or necessary? Do you think it is?
what I read in the papers this morning shows that the people that portray themselves as clerics, they were just comedians. Yes, because see, what you are not, you are not. A professor that is a professor, if he's lecturing, he's going to lecture easily with ease. But if you are an actor, and you are lecturing, there's every possibility that you miss your line. If you miss your line, it will show glaringly that you are not one of them. One of those things I saw last night, you will see the way they dressed. If you have seen the eminence, the bishops, their cassock, the way they dress, even their carriage, you know that, oh, these are bishops. The people we saw, we don't need to get to this morning to discover that they are just actors, and that's why I call them actors. They could have been paid, they might not have been paid, but what I know is that what is not real is not real. I remember when we were much younger, they said once it's not Panadol, it's not. Once you are not the bishop, you are not the bishop, and that's why Khan disowns the act.
And you see the interesting part of it, Mr. Fatunke, let me come here to you, is the fact that why do politicians feel the need to respond to practically everything, or why do political actors or politicians, like you like to call them, feel the need to respond to everything remotely said in the public space with some theatrics? Look at what happened in Osun, and I want to liken what happened yesterday. Whoever the political handlers are, I think they need to be sacked, really, because what happened in Osun, we all obviously knew that Davido is a member of the opposition party. Why? His uncle was contesting that election. So obviously, like every other election his uncle had appeared or contested for, he was always visible
And supporting.
and supportive at the campaign. So obviously, if it doesn't come all through the last day of the campaign, it won't be there. And then you went ahead and you brought a portable. You brought a Zazu to the whole of Osun State, the place where the only thing we wake up to think about in the morning and in the night, which you're very much aware, you're from that state,
Yes.
is reading, education, poise, polish. We are polished people. And then somebody brought a Zazu to a campaign, and then he started addressing in pieces. What brand was he representing? Really? What brand? So I liken that Osun election to what happened yesterday, to the theatrics of that was theater in public glare. Yesterday's one was theater in global glare. Mr. Fatunke, your thoughts?
Shameful, disdainful, untasteful, or tasteless, most unfortunate. I would have gone on and on, but let me doff my cap to Mr. Olubode in what he has introduced and which you are actually accentuating.
theater, drama, even that notwithstanding, in events management, in corporate life, when you decide that you are going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and you are sweated and all that, something similar to you want to put a pot of soup to feed, you must take care of the silent, minute things. What my language calls ekpodimoru, oninyogima batemije. In other words, little things that can mean so much. To call it paying attention to details.
Be meticulous about every little thing that would happen.
What could bring a plane down might be just little things that you just assumed or skipped. Working in oil and gas industry, some of the largest ever mishap, the Valdez thing, was just an error of just assuming, oh, Thomason will have done it, or Mr. Olugbodi will have done it. This would have done it factor now becomes an issue that might torpedo the whole thing. Events management starts from A to Z. You understand what I'm trying to say? Including post-event.
Yeah.
The buck stops on your table as APC or as leader of the party in this wise, Bola Tinubu and his deputy, to think of what you call mystery shoppers.
Or even the party chairman.
It is an acceptable thing in management.
Yeah.
Mystery shoppers means you don't want any untoward things to happen.
Yeah.
Now you go out there and pretend as if you are one of the people coming in with a bomb, all that kind of stuff. All the processes that you have put in, have they been able to catch it and catch it before the whole thing went bad? Most organizations, nearly 90% of organizations, will always fail because of those fine level of details. Now, Mr. Olugbodi just said something that I didn't realize. I have to confess on television that it could have been, I was wondering myself.
Acting.
It could have been some
A drama.
actors coming in. Maybe, maybe not. If it is, my expectation is that as at now, perhaps while we are talking, somebody will have just put a disclaimer. But you now then went to Missy. There can't be smoke without fire. You went back to Oshun and you were mentioning Zozo and all that. On that particular one, allegedly I heard that those guys were not sponsored by, the people we are looking at. The opposition have a way of putting a torch through your way, and somebody now goes to the statue of
Awolowo.
Who does that?
You need to have seen what some of the elders. So when I say the elders now, I'm saying the elderly youth. I'm not even talking about your age mates. I'm talking about elderly youth. So people who are older than me come up and say, how dare somebody carry smelling boxers to go and insult the statue of Awolowo?
It's highly suspect.
It was disgraceful. And then we had a conversation, Mr. Fatuke, sorry to hold you there. We had a conversation with the CPS to the governor to say, who came up with this idea? And he's saying he was flabbergasted. He was surprised. He had no idea who came up with it. Because as far as they were concerned, they didn't even know.
We are in the era of politics.
How that came in.
We are in the era of politics where an April Fool can be played on you and say,
and that's why what you said,
your wife, your husband, somebody, there was a plane crash, and before you know that somebody is trying to make I think there is a need to bring the mind and sanity. Another subject entirely. Even if you are going to be an actor to act that, you've got to be on some nice substance. Great drug abuse. How much are you going to be paid for you to go and disgrace yourself in such a way and manner? So that's on that side. If really is the other way around, a situation where things that we never in our dreams believed could happen in our country is anything to go by, and so the hands of Esau and the boys of Jacob, as the case might be, is in this. I like to say this is so disdainful and potent, more than grave danger
to us as a people,
to our corporate existence as a people.
You know, let's take a look at another very pressing issue. This was just to participate in the gist that, took place on social media yesterday. Let's go to the real issues that we have as a country, because, trust me, fake bishops are not our issue. The one that is really our issue is the fact that our children have been at home since the 14th of February 2022. I look at it and I make bold to say that during the time when I was in the university, ASUU went on strike a minimum of 3 times. So the first one lasted about almost a year. The second one lasted about 6 months. The third one lasted about another 7 months. As a matter of fact, my final year exams had to be postponed for about 7 months because ASUU was on strike. Now, you're looking at the 2007, 2002, 2005. So all through my growing up years, ASUU always goes on strike. And what has been the issue? Now, after the set of strike that I witnessed last, there was a 2009 agreement, which this current saga is embroiled over. Now, there was another agreement in 2020 to ratify maybe the 2009 agreement and say some of the things you demanded for cannot work. But now we can tell you what can work for us based on our current reality. The first issue that we're struggling about is IPPIS. That's the Independent Payment Payroll Integrated System versus UTAS, the proposal of ASUU. The last payment that was done apparently was done via the IPPIS, not UTAS. And ASUU is still insisting that use our system, not your system. Do you think that is enough as an issue to ground public university education to a halt in a country like this?
Let's start from the basics. ASUU's grievances is not just the payment portal. It's not. Part of the grievances is our university, they are in a terrible state.
30 billion naira was released for that.
No.
30 billion was paid for that.
No. I still tell you what I mean, what I know. They are in terrible states. They don't have infrastructures. They don't have what they call reagents, as in when you're in chemical labs, all those things. They don't have. And see, the problem of the country is we are not sincere to ourselves as a people. When I say we, I mean the political class, we elites, and those at the bottom of the pyramid. We are not sincere to ourselves. I remember that when I was much younger, I went to a federal government school. Then, everybody in this country, their children don't go abroad.
They all wanted their children to go to a federal government school.
I remember that was when Shagari was in charge, was the head. Now, I think there should be a policy that government, once you are a public servant, your children must go to the public.
What if your children are no longer in school?
Once you're a public servant, look at it this way. Anybody that is a public servant will still be within the age of 50 and 60 max, because 60 is and then as a politician, we have politicians that are from their 40s, like the governor of Kogi, and other House of Rep, House of this, House of that. So definitely they still have children that's still in the universities. If a decree or a law is passed, and we all know
They can
for
go
the-
to state university.
no. See, why I'm saying this is because once we allow some class of people to send their children abroad, Nigerian universities, Nigerian polytechnics will not get the best of support from government.
So let me ask you the question then, before I bring Mr. Fatuke into the conversation. What you're saying in essence is, if, for example, I'm seeking public office and my children have always lived abroad, they've always lived abroad.
That's a lie. And I'll tell you why. Everybody in this country, everybody, including anybody you can name of, made their money in this country. So what can you tell me that after you made your money in this country, your children now live abroad?
No, what I'm even saying,
scam. We'll see.
What I'm even saying is, for example, I take myself as an example. I have friends whose children intentionally, at their level of not being involved in politics, intentionally ensured their wives gave birth to their children abroad. And they've patterned their lives after the children come here for holiday and they have always lived abroad. Now, in recent years, many of them are vying for political seat because the fathers have always lived here. The children have never spent more than 2 months in Nigeria. So what you're saying is, once they begin to seek public office, should we make it a rule that you bring your children back home?
Yes. Let me quickly let's get it right. See, what does not affect you, you don't support.
Okay.
What does not affect you, you can be in a limbo, as in, well, I don't care, because it doesn't concern me. The problem of ASU is that all the stakeholders, all the stakeholders, their children are not involved
in the country.
Because if your children are involved and you come home and you see them helpless, you will do something about it.
Like what? I'm wondering, Mr. Fatuke, your opinion really about this. There are so many issues ASU seem to be fighting for. There is payment of, which is the topmost part of what they're fighting for, salaries and allowances, academic allowances for their staff. Some lecturers were denied payment. No, the government refused to pay certain people. One of the biggest reasons ASU went on this strike is because government still refused to pay those people. Second reason is the idea of IPPIS versus UTAS. Third reason is the fact that the average professor, average academic personnel in the country has a really low payment of salary versus what the politicians are earning. But then it comes to what SANU and NASU are not asking for. SANU, NASU, NAT have also told the federal government, if you up it here, you must up it here. We all must be on the same scale and on the same cadre, which comes to another big problem. The last one is the fact that as at March, the federal government paid 92 billion naira to cater for some of these things. 40 billion went to end academic allowances. 30 billion went to university revitalization as part of the December 2020 agreement and the rest of it. I'm just wondering what gives here, because with all of the issues that is on ground, what gives? Do we continue? Because every government that has come to Nigeria since 1999 has had ASU strike, and we have been asking for the same thing. We are at an impasse. How do we solve it?
Fela's son, Femi, had one of his iconic songs, Wonder, 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 Wonder. Oh, you are wondering. Everybody is wondering. Our listeners are wondering. I'm wondering. Even our kids yet to come.
They're still wondering.
They must, should I come to Nigeria or should I go elsewhere? So
God, don't create me that. No. They have to come to Nigeria. We're very special people.
You keep on wondering. When you have issues and you cannot sit down and creatively, ingeniously sit like the late sage Awolowo, while every other person was carousing, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., he was functioning and thinking of how to give free education to all children back in the Southwest. He was stoned, he was killed, he went with his legs. But he kept on saying, no matter what you haul at me, I will stay my course and I'll wait for legacy. We are just discussing and talking about these things. Mr. Olubodi, I will tell you something. Next year, we are going to say the same.
Also will go on strike.
I am going to also tell you that in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time,
Also will go on strike.
because we are not going to the root
Of the problem.
of the problem. What is the root of the problem? We have not been able to think out of the box and be creative. The truth, first of all, must be told that it is impracticable for government to continue to fund education the way
Tertiary education
that we've been talking about. Now you introduce something else. Okay, now even let all of us go to hate. Take all the resources that we have that is dwindling anyway and give it to education. Suddenly, the SANU and the
NAT, SANU, NASU, NAT, all of them.
In problem-solving theories, what have you done?
Created more.
You've taken one step forward.
And 10 backwards.
Why are other countries not facing what we are facing?
Because they're not funding education, tertiary education
So
by themselves.
another subject entirely that we can have a look at. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that we are saying that we are running is faulty, not just for education, in so many other respects. And we are pretending. You saw Asha, she was talking about fire, and that nobody is running. This is now the time that everybody should now stand up and begin to run. The days of laziness and people who cannot think out of the box is out. And I can tell you for free, based on my experience, you don't need to travel out there for you to know what exactly is happening. Some of those templates, I know your university, University of Ife, UI, Ahmadu Bello University, and University of Nigeria, Nsukka,
which is yours.
They tried it one way or the other. Do you know that at one point in time, and people should get to know this history, somebody who thinks out of the box and should be talking of disruption, decided I was going to get a sole administrator for my university, the late Kotangora. He came and you didn't have to go through all these other shenanigans. And part of the things they did at that time was to help attract some form of FDI. The infrastructures that were developed at that time ended up all at that time. So why do we want to continue to do the same thing and expect different results now? Finally, what is the truth? The truth is that the present constitution that talk about exclusive, talk about
on the exclusive list of the federal government,
talk about residual, is not working.
It's faulty.
Just like electricity and all that kind of thing, it's not working. Just like our health, it's not working. And we keep on coming for 4 years, thinking that some people are going to be angels. Peter Obi angel, Bola Tinubu angel, Atiku angel, working
on the same document.
Kola Abuela angel, working Kwakwaso angel. If all of them become one angel and you call them an archangel, they will begin to fail from day one.
Day one.
And that is the truth. We all must get into that mindset and say, hey, wait a minute, yes, I've had my own education, whatever it is. What about all these young ones that are coming behind? You will not believe it. Some of these young ones that you are looking at, let's put them in to do some of the thinking. You'll be amazed and shocked at some of the things they are going to come up with. And yet, you put on our Babariga, our Agbada, our Gele, and Buba, and continue to steal around and still walk off, still back, continue to do one another, while our Rome continues to burn. It's most unfortunate.
You know, it's quite interesting that Mr. Fatunke actually hit the nail on the head where exactly I was going. ASU strike is one cankerworm eaten at the public university education in Nigeria. When we were growing up, the option has always been to go to a federal university and not a state university. Now the state universities are doing much better than the federal universities. Now the private institutions are doing much better than both the state and the public in certain courses. So it's more like a specialization for some of the private universities. They will pick certain area. Let me just be a science, based, and they pump everything in there. If we continue this way, which really is the way the whole world is going, why then will NLC say they want to go on strike? Have they tried to broker peace between the two parties? Have they critically looked at this? Because every time I see NLC going on strike, they're either demanding for subsidy or increase in salary. Those two things, those are the things they demand for. They've not brokered an agreement. They've not sat on the table with the two parties, and then you want to hold the federal government by the jugular and say, we want to walk the streets of the whole Nigeria. What exactly are they trying to achieve?
I said it. NLCs, they have children in these universities.
Okay.
People that are in our ministries, in your state, Umuahia, Lagos State, they have children in the universities.
And that's why they should broker an agreement between the two parties.
And that's why NLC, you see, you cannot leave your home in the morning.
Yes.
And come back in the evening and see your child that you left still being there. We should realize something. There's something that we call the increase in age. These people, they are home for 6 months. That means 6 months out of their entire life is in code being wasted. And I know what I mean being wasted. They are not doing schooling. They are not learning a trade. So for the 6 months, they are just eating and waking up due to no fault of theirs.
Yes.
So if we are not careful, we will have people that, while I was much younger, people leave universities 22, 23. But by the time you have ASU strike, probably 2-3 years, that means you can't leave university until 27, 28. By that time, if you want to go to any employment, look at this, if you want to go to an employment, they will ask, they will tell you, you cannot
reduce your age.
No, you can't reduce your age. They will tell you, don't even apply if you are over 26. So with this ASU strike this year, ASU strike next year, with no fault of theirs, they are already over-aged. So it doesn't really matter. So government needs to do something about these people because they are the future of tomorrow.
Which is another reason why I honestly think that employers need to be flogged. That idea of you must be a certain age is another issue entirely. But I don't want to go off topic this morning. Let's go to another issue that we're discussing this morning. The national identity card is an identification. The national identification number, is an identification number given to every Nigerian here to register your phone, do this, get your international passport, get your voter's card, and sometimes even to get your BVN if you're just opening a bank account. You need your name, whether the printout or the actual card, to show that you have been registered duly as a Nigerian. Now, the thing is, Nigeria has taken it a step further by going to the United Kingdom to make sure Nigerians in diaspora, and it's been done everywhere else, Nigerians in diaspora also participate and get the national identification number. Now, this is what has happened. If you lived in the United Kingdom, for example, you live in London and you've not been able to renew your passport because you didn't have a NIN. Now, they've brought NIN in partnership with another organization. They've brought NIN down to North London so anybody can just travel or go within that space and register for their NIN. Out of this package, and I'd like to share with you exactly what would happen to Nigerians in diaspora now if they so choose to register for the national identity card. Hello and welcome. This is the Marketplace and Events on Ben TV. And of course, I am Tomisi Adebukala. Good to see you again. Right, we are live at the Redeemed Christian Church of God, RCCG, Power Connections Lead 236. And we're here for something. For a couple of years, Nigerians at home have been registering for the national identification number, and only those who had traveled down have been able to register. But now the federal government of Nigeria has taken it a step further, and they've brought it right to the doorstep of people, Nigerians in diaspora, especially those living in London. Now, North London, are you ready? Because you can now register right here, right now, every day of the week at the RCCG Power Connections Leeds 236, and you're able to come in with your family members, register for the national identification number. This gives you opportunity to reach out to certain things and of course get benefits from the Nigerian government anytime. And of course, you know, now when you need to renew your passport, you also will need your national identification number to renew your Nigerian passport. So yes, it's good. It's brought here live, and we will definitely be telling you the story of how the inauguration is going and how it.
The national identification number, pronounced NIN, is what identifies an individual. This 11-digit number is uniquely generated only after successful enrollment, and it is embedded on a slip issued to you. This slip is called the NIN slip. Once you have this number, be rest assured that you are now in the National Identity Database.
In 2018, the Federal Executive Council directed the commencement of enforcement of the mandatory use of the National Identification Number, NIN, and the issuance of the international passport and other travel documents. Consequent to this directive, the then Minister of Interior, General Dambazal, retired, set up an implementation committee with membership, including the Nigeria Immigration Service and the Nigeria Identity, the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC. In March 2019, the NIS communicated to the NIMC its readiness to commence the issuance of the improved enhanced international passport in May 2019 and requested NIMC to establish enrollment centers in the diaspora to ensure Nigerian citizens in diaspora requesting the issuance or renewal of their Nigerian passports are not disenfranchised.
I have the honor to, on behalf of our chairman, Senator Prince Gbolahan Dada, Chairman Joanne, to welcome every one of us to the flag off of NIM Enrollment Center flag off in Leeds. To start this program this afternoon, I'll be inviting the President of Nigerian Community Leeds to welcome us to Leeds, a city where leaders are made. Can we appreciate Mr. President for his welcome address?
My name is James Adesanlu. I am the chairman of Nigerian community here in Leeds, and I would like to say that the welfare of our people, Nigerians living in Leeds or all over the UK, is our paramount. Is our priority, basically. I'm bringing this registration, NIN registration, to Leeds today. It actually give us access for our people to enroll for their NIN. We've had about 3 sections so far this year. We needed to invite people from down south, London or Birmingham, for them to come here to capture data and be able to issue NIN to our people. But I would like to say that I'm very happy today that we are commissioning a center here in Leeds where our people can come and get their NIN done.
To ensure the earliest setup of enrollment centers in the diaspora, the governing board of the NIMC approved the use of Nigerian enrollment partners partnering with the NIMC to provide enrollment services for the issuance of the NIN to Nigerian residents in the diaspora. This gave birth to the Diaspora NIN Enrollment Program.
distinguished guests. We're very happy that you've all come and gathered together to open a center in Leeds. And
all I do is win. I wake up, I win. I close my eyes, and I win.
We got a emergency, girlfriend.
Keep up with me, come on, let's go. Keep winning till the world stops spinning. Independent women, come on, now let's get it. I'ma keep winning till the world stops.
Wow, you look great. Did you just come from the salon?
Darling Superstar, braids that stay salon fresh no matter what.
Welcome back. So yes, Nigerians in diaspora can now register for their national identity card over there, which means if your SIM has been blocked and you needed to open your SIM, all you need to do now is register for your national identity card, and the next thing, you can use the NIN to open the SIM. But I'm waiting for the day that we will have to do all of this registration, online without having to do it physically. I believe that with the kind of minister we have, maybe we'll achieve that before he leaves office next year. All right, let's talk about our next topic, and it centers around what Arakuni Rotimi Akeredolu has ordered. The governor of Ondo State has ordered that some civil servants have been receiving double salaries. The NLC assured the civil servants that Akeredolu has promised to pay workers outstanding salaries before the year runs out, but the workers are currently owed 4 months' salary. The chairman of the NLC did say that they've had a meeting with the governor, and he promised that he would never renege on his promises, and the arrears, now salary arrears, not actual salary arrears would be paid. But you see, the interesting part is he set up a 7-man panel to clean up the payroll of infractions when it was discovered that the state wage bill was on the increase. So some workers are earning double salary as far as Ondo State is concerned. I remember that El-Rufai mentioned that a couple of months ago. How do we get to this point, Mr. Batuke, where people are getting double salaries?
It's always been that. It's always been...
Since Nigeria started?
Oh, even before Nigeria became independent, we thrive on...
cheating the system.
We thrive on false life. We want to go to look for false education. We want to present ourselves as what we are not. And you remember Mrs. Okonjo-Iweala also had the winning battle on account of ghost workers.
That's true.
You hinted it earlier. Part of some of the challenge we have with IPPS and UTAS. Also, issues surrounding ghost workers. Arakuni Akeredolu, congratulations. That like others.
66th birthday. Anyway.
Happy birthday, Arakuni Akeredolu. You are now towing some of the lines of those who had done something similar. You mentioned El-Rufai as an example, and is the way to go now. I am personally, and I have to say it and put it on records, that I am not really so surprised that Arakuni is doing what he's doing. He's newly appointed Commissioner for Information and Strategy, a woman for that matter, Mrs. Babindele Olateju. We are beginning to see the injection of creative thinking in there. The only thing I will just tell him is the fact that such corruption, they fight back. They will naturally fight back. I think he should stay the course, like he's trying to stay the course on Amateku, despite
all the opposition,
all the challenges, with the instrumentality of law, equity, and justice. I think since they do peer review issues surrounding, I know our Center of Excellence, I want to believe our Center of Excellence, back in the day during, like him or dislike him, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, all made the points to get into the technology way back, wave away those who
Cut off
are
the excesses.
up to now. We still have to do a lot of things manually. So if we can apply technology and then you pay, are you able to prove you pay people well, living wages, and then take away all the other things. As I speak with you, and I speak with Nigerians, not you, Tobin C, whether at the National Assembly, whether in the public service, whether in the civil service, I tell you more than 45 to 50% of the wage bills are paid to people who are either dead, some people are collecting
Somebody
them, or some people who are up there, you know the waiting you carry thing with the police. It doesn't end up with those people at the checkpoint.
But let me give you a number,
way.
Mr. Fatuke. You are an accountant. See what this means to governance. 304,859,812 naira 51 kobo is the amount of losses that has accrued to the Ondo State government over this infraction called double salaries.
More than
Over
that.
304 million, just within the small period where, they're trying.
I want to assume
check.
a forensic, I have in Ondo State, I have many of my colleagues in the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria who will always be, I believe, we are ICANN, we are not ANAN, I'm sorry, we are the foremost institute. If you did a forensic audit, I can tell you for free, because I participated in things like that, that number that you have just mentioned can be less. It's more likely to be more.
Much more.
Because certain things are not considered. And may I say this? At a time when revenue is dwindling, at a time that our girls and our boys are out of school, at a time when creative thinking should be going on and should be rewarded, at a time when a force is coming and telling us in this country, unfortunately, that Western education is sin, and at a time when they said it, I will say, what the hell are these people saying? I will now see officers of government, even at the National Assembly, I say this boldly, at the National Assembly, you have people in there who are aiding and abetting down to their constituencies this so-called
ghost workers.
We need a disruptor. We need a, what's a disruptor? We may be a madman. Because you are going to go into a sanatorium and all of them are mad, and then you want to know them be doing it. You have to go there and be a disruptor. Otherwise, like Aladoku, they may just remove your head. A word is enough
for the words. At the federal level, one of the issues that we have with ASU as well is this idea of ghost salaries and ghost workers. People who are dead, forgotten, are still being paid. Salaries, pension, and some people are benefiting from this on a daily basis. I'm looking at punishment here. Savatuka said you look at the system, prune it for forensic audit. Punishment for every person
Let's get something
that is a
clear
beneficiary.
about Nigeria. We have a law, we have a constitution that does not work. This is the only country whereby our laws affects people differently. The law that affects the rich is not the law that affects the poor. When there are issues like that, when there is no deterrent, when nobody is punished, when nobody is has been caught to be have been used as a scapegoat, it will still continue. The problem with this country is that people in public offices, public workers, House of Rep members, governors that have done similar things, they have not been punished. When you know that there is a law, if you do this, this is the punishment. If you do this, this is the punishment. So you take the risk. In economics, it's been said, the higher the risk, the higher the return. And then the higher the risk, the higher the punishment. So if someone has been doing double counting, you've been taking money from the Ministry of Justice, and your name is still in Ministry of Establishment or in Ministry of Education, and you've been taking the salaries for 2-3 years, and you are caught, face the wrath of the law. If you are going to be jailed, be jailed. If you are going to, they're going to recoup the money. It's because most of these things, there is no punishment, there is no deterrent, there is nobody suffers it. We just hear a lot of things happen in Nigeria. This happens and it's been swept under the carpet. But when you know that, oh, Mr. Yemi that did this, this was his punishment. Yakubu that did this, this was the punishment.
And then don't you think the race will now become a matter of don't be caught?
No, it's everywhere. In America, people cheat. In America, people try to cut corners. But when you are caught, no matter who you are, no matter.
Unfortunately, in our situation, people will tell you, yes, I know I'm doing the wrong thing. Go and report me.
Because you're a member of a cartel.
Go and report me. I'll pay my way through. Minor is an example. Rather than punish, we reward. So if people know that you are going to reward, so why should I now waste my time to now try to say I want to be compliant? Why? It's easy. I'll stay in my room and I can cut corners and I can do so many. I can do from and then the laws, like it says, are there. But rather than the law punish me, you see at the National Assembly, a gentleman now looks and says, these are all the people, many people are in this chamber that they brought to me for one criminal offense or the
other.
I am surprised and everybody is clapping. That is the tragedy of Nigeria. But it can change if we put our minds to making sure that collectively we say, no, never again.
So, no, never again.
One of the problems we have in Nigeria is what we call pre-bargaining. I will steal 10 billion. With pre-bargaining, I will return 1 billion. Then who's fooling who?
Oh, okay. So I will give you back some, but I'll keep the rest.
So we are not. Then we are encouraging others to do it because
they know
they can circumvent the
system.
Yeah, the system.
Nigeria is a project that we are all dealing with, and we are all, praying will get better. Of course, we're rounding off the show this morning, but I wouldn't do that without celebrating Mrs. Betty Anyanwu Akeredolu, who clocked 69 today, and the husband as well clocked 66. I'm sure not many people do know that Betty is a bit older than her husband. You're wondering, right?
No,
age is a matter of mind.
Now, you know, see the problem. A whole lot of people would never guess that happened because she looks young.
She looks young, she looks funky.
She's
be going to the
beautiful.
Hopefully, and she's beautiful. And
and she's like graceful.
The older the wine, the better the taste.
Happy birthday to the couple. We're saying happy birthday to the First Lady and the Governor of Ondo State this morning on the show. Thank you so much, Mr. Yonibugi, for joining us on the show. And Mr. Akifatoke, always a pleasure. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, Friday edition of the Bumper Breakfast, entertainment all the way. But we'll be talking something serious, so you wouldn't want to miss any part of it. Have a great day.